let's talk about something that you've discussed. We talked about Lynn Alden and her writings, but you have been quite vocal on considering Bitcoin as the sixth technological revolution. And you see Bitcoin as, again, the sixth technological revolution after the Industrial Revolution, number two being steam, rail and steel, electricity and heavy engineering, oil, autos, and mass production, the fifth revolution, information and telecommunications. And you state that a technological revolution like Bitcoin disrupts all of these industries, not just one or a few, and that these cycles take 50 to 60 years historically, not just 1 or 2 decades. So where are we then? Clearly in the very early stages of the Bitcoin tech revolution. Elaborate on that for us. How do you see this playing out for Bitcoin and the disruption of these other technologies and therefore its adoption?
Yeah, so these technological revolutions build on each other. So it's actually disrupting industries, not the previous technologies. But yeah, the first 4 great technological revolutions were all energy revolutions. And then we had an information revolution, starting with the first Intel chip rolling off of a semiconductor fab line in 1971, ironically. And now you have Bitcoin as what I see as the sixth great technological revolution. And yeah, as you noted, in the framework of Carlotta Perez, who wrote the book, Technological Revolutions in Financial Capital, which is where I got the idea, I see she notes that these have taken historically 50 to 80 years, which means that you're not going to see the Bitcoin revolution mature until between 2060 and 2090. That's when it will really have played out and have spread through all the places that it's going to spread through. And we are just very much in the early stages here in year 15. It's still that flat part of the S curve before you start your way up. And this makes sense. You know, I went and we grabbed a booth through a friend and brought Swan to the Abbott Kinney Street Fair in Venice Beach, California over the summer. And I had conversations with normal people walking by, and I was holding a sign saying, you know, get some free Bitcoin or something like that. And over half the people that I talked to didn't know that you could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. And of those people, you know, half of them, you know, just thought that I was trying to sell them a Bitcoin for $21 because we were saying we gave them $21 of free Bitcoin. So it was just kind of, it was amazing when you really mix it up with people. You know, I think in the macro world, in the gold world, in sound money circles, when you're talking to libertarians, you're talking to people that are interested in investing, it seems like Bitcoin is a lot more ubiquitous than it actually is. But almost nobody out there really understands what this thing is. It's just too complicated. It's just too wrapped up in all of the crypto noise from the last 6 years. And we haven't seen what it's like for the top of funnel about Bitcoin to be true instead of false. And I think we're going to wake up to how fast this thing can move when the information being put out about Bitcoin is true, that draws them in and not false.
And, as we discussed in the first part of this interview, we're kind of moving towards that direction with some of the crypto exchanges falling to the wayside. So given that your thoughts on Bitcoin as a sixth technological revolution, where do you see Bitcoin in 50 years' time?
In 50 years' time, I think actually probably sooner than that, hopefully. You know, it will be the dominant global store of value. So, you know, in today's terms, it'll be something like, you know, if the global asset pie for store of value is somewhere between $400 and $900 trillion, it's a pretty wide range depending on what you include in that pie. You know, I think Bitcoin is the best tool for the job, and it'll suck away a lot of the monetary premium that exists in real estate, in art, in obviously the other currencies that are out there. A lot of stocks and bonds are essentially used as savings, and people would rather not be their own personal hedge fund manager if they could have something that performs the same function that gold did historically. And now we have Bitcoin. And as it grows less volatile, people will just assume that it'll hold its value pretty darn well. And just like an ounce of gold always bought you a suit on Savile Row, it'll be some little bit of Bitcoin that will always buy you the same basket of goods or a little bit more over the decades and over the centuries. And that's how people will think about it once it's mature and kind of reached its natural level. and serving its rightful place for us 8 billion humans. And then on medium of exchange, when you have everybody on one currency, either denominating their wealth entirely in Bitcoin or at least holding a good chunk of it, maybe the dollar will still be around for another century or so. Maybe you'll still have a few other strong currencies like a yen, maybe the euro, probably not the euro, but the yen and the franc will probably make it for the rest of the century. But at least you'll have prices and services and goods, products and services will be available in Bitcoin and in the local currency. And so you'll be able to transact for all goods and services around the globe in 50 years, denominated in Bitcoin prices. And then a lot of people will be using it obviously by then as their unit of account. So they'll denominate their wealth and the price of pretty much everything they think about in Satoshis, the smallest unit of Bitcoin, 100 million Satoshis or sats per Bitcoin.